Okay, we're going to go ahead and start discussing Section 2.3, Introduction to Functions. You've actually worked with functions in many of your algebra classes. The idea here is now we're going to start using a new notation. So y is equal to mx plus b. This is a function, and all we do is the same thing, but we're taking this y value and we're now rewriting it as f of x. There's some sort of variable that causes some sort of result. So looking at independent and dependent variables in your science classes, and we've discussed some of that, that's where it comes from. So the first thing that we need to do is define a function and a relation. A function, as you can see by that definition, is each value of the first variable is paired with exactly one value of the second variable, and that makes a function. And we have a couple examples on the next slide, but right away what I'm going to tell you is your social security number. That type of relationship is a function. For every person, there's one and only social security number, unless it's illegal, of course, but there's only one social security number for that person. Now a relation, there's still some sort of relationship, but the difference is that the first variable, so let's say a person, is paired with one or more values of the possible second variable. So one person could have two jobs, not one specific job. Or one person could have two phone numbers, and these two phone numbers belong to that same person. Whereas in the function example, for every one there's another one, and it's just those two individual things. And so here's another example, owning a car. One person can own more than one car. That's a relationship. People who own two or more cars, or two cars, or three cars, or whatever. Voting for a specific race, presidential race. Only one person could vote. And so the one vote belongs to that person. Those are different examples between what's a relation and what's a function. Okay, so let's looking at numbers. Which one of these is a function and which one of these is a relation? Okay, and so we're going to state whether the data in this table is a function, represents y as a function of x. So x, this statement, as a function of, tells us that x is the independent variable. Okay? So that means, let's look at this. We got a 2 and a 2, a 4 with a 3, a 6 with a 4, and an 8 with a 5. And let's make a comparison here. We have a 3 and a 4, a 3 and a 5 and a negative 4, and a 6 and a 3. So when I look at these two tables, I say, okay, well, this guy has got all different numbers. This guy has all of the same numbers. So what's happening here? So if we think of this as our person, and if we think of this as our social security number, does this same person, person 3 and person 3, do they have two different social security numbers? Yes. This is not a function. It's a relation, but it's not a function. Example 1 is our function. And that's how we can determine if something is a function versus a relation. So the function is for every x value, there is one specific y value. And notice this x value has two different y values. Each one of these x's has its own y value, and they're all different. And so this concludes the video on our introduction to functions, just the difference between a function and a relation.